Something big is brewing between Washington and Westminster. And it's not good news for Britain. Behind the scenes, a quiet storm is gathering. And it's all to do with tariffs, trade, and one of the most unpredictable figures in global politics. Ministers are rattled, economists are worried. And Keir Starmer, he might be facing a major international headache with serious consequences for the UK economy. At the centre of it all, Donald Trump, and a message that's just sent shockwaves through Downing Street. What exactly is Trump demanding? Why are British officials so nervous? And could this be the beginning of a full-blown trade confrontation with America? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal could change the course of UK-US relations in a very big way. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Just a quick one to say we have new Liber t-shirts available on our website. You can check the link in the description or go to BritishStand.com. Britain is now staring down the barrel of permanent 10% tariffs on its exports to the United States. And, according to those close to President Donald Trump, that harsh baseline might remain in place even if a trade deal is reached. Ministers in Westminster are growing increasingly concerned that securing a full exemption from these sweeping levies may not be possible despite what appeared to be a recent softening in Trump's approach to international tariffs. His sudden U-turn earlier this week sparked a flurry of cautious optimism, but behind the scenes, government officials are now far less hopeful. The concern is being driven by fresh warnings from Kevin Hassett, a senior economic advisor and longtime Trump ally. Speaking publicly, Hassett confirmed that the White House is currently in negotiations with roughly 20 different countries over potential economic deals. But critically, he revealed that only two nations, widely understood to be the UK and Australia, are considered to be closest to finalizing any kind of preferential agreement. Yet even for those two, the message remains bleak. Hassett made it very clear, "I think everybody expects that the 10% baseline tariff is going to be the baseline. It is going to take some kind of extraordinary deal for the president to go below that. In other words, unless Britain is prepared to offer something particularly valuable and fast, there's little chance it will escape this new tariff regime, which could have major implications for British exports, businesses, and overall economic health." Across the Atlantic, a senior UK government source speaking to The Times admitted that while conversations with Trump's team are ongoing, hopes of fully scrapping the tariff are fading. There is a high degree of uncertainty, they said. Things change by the day. And that's not just diplomatic hedging. It's a reflection of the chaotic and unpredictable nature of Trump's trade philosophy. During his previous presidency, Trump frequently used tariffs not just as economic policy, but as a bargaining tool, a form of pressure he was never shy to apply, even to allies. His America First doctrine prioritized domestic manufacturing and protectionism, and there's no indication that a second Trump term would take a softer approach. Economists, meanwhile, are sounding the alarm. According to early estimates, the reintroduction of 10% tariffs on UK goods could deal a significant blow to the British economy, potentially shaving off 0.6% from the country's GDP. That would be enough to wipe out this morning's modest growth announcement entirely, and then some. A 0.6% hit might sound small on paper, but in the context of a sluggish recovery, tight public finances, and ongoing inflationary pressures, it could prove deeply damaging. It would affect everything from trade flows to business confidence to the cost of living, particularly if UK exporters are forced to raise prices to offset the levies. The stakes are particularly high for sectors like automotive, aerospace, and high-end manufacturing, all of which rely heavily on frictionless access to American markets. A 10% surcharge on British goods could make them significantly less competitive compared to American-made products or those from nations with more favorable trade terms. Despite all this, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has confirmed that he has not spoken to Donald Trump since the announcement of the tariffs. That in itself raises eyebrows, given the importance of the issue and the urgency of the moment. However, Starmer did seek to reassure the public and investors by highlighting the strength of the broader UK-US relationship. "We've got a very strong relationship on defense, security, intelligence sharing," he said. "No two countries are as closely aligned as ours. While that may be true in a strategic sense, it's far less clear how aligned the two nations are economically, especially with the return of a more aggressive America-first approach to trade. The coming weeks will be critical, with the US presidential election looming and Trump currently leading in several key polls. British officials know that they may be negotiating not just with a political candidate, but with the likely next president of the United States. If the UK can't secure an exemption or a significant concession, it could mark the beginning of a much tougher era for British exports. And with the economic recovery still fragile, that's the last thing this country needs. In other news, former Home Secretary Priti Patel has condemned Hamas's legal challenge against its proscription as a terror group in Britain, describing it as a stain on our democracy. Speaking on GB News, Patel said, "This is obviously a stain on our democracy and on our laws when we all know that Hamas is backed by Iran. Hamas are a terrorist organization." She emphasized that the group was proscribed for very good reasons. "They're part of a murderous regime. They murder and torture and brutalize innocent civilians, and they are responsible for the atrocities that took place in Israel on the 7th of October 2 years ago," Patel stated. The former Home Secretary called the legal action simply unacceptable. Hamas has launched legal action against its proscription as a terror group, sparking widespread outrage. The Palestinian militant group has instructed British lawyers to challenge the designation, arguing it was a political decision. Riverway Law, an immigration firm based in Streatham, South London, has confirmed it has begun legal proceedings against the Home Office. The firm announced on Wednesday, "Today, Fahad Ansari of Riverway Law launches an important legal application to Yvette Cooper MP to end the ban on the organization housed Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, Hamas." Hamas said in its legal submission, "Hamas does not deny that its actions fall within the wide definition of terrorism under the Terrorism Act 2000. Instead, it notes that the definition also covers all groups and organizations around the world that use violence to achieve political objectives." The group further argued that the definition could apply to the Israeli Armed Forces, the Ukrainian Army, and indeed the British Armed Forces. Hamas claimed that not all such groups are proscribed, as it is a question of discretion for the Secretary of State. The submission also stated, "Transition to a political process is hindered by the terrorism label, as talking with terrorists is a taboo." Patel expressed strong criticism of the legal firm representing Hamas, questioning their basis for challenging the proscription. "I think it's absolutely absurd that the so-called legal representatives representing this terrorist organization are trying to pervert our own domestic laws to effectively unwind the proscription that I put in place," she said. She specifically targeted what she described as do-gooder left-wing lawyers, who she claimed were abusing our laws. "They're using laws now to basically poke their thumbs and noses at the British public and at the British legislators and say that they're supporting the most awful people who want to do the country harm," Patel stated. She added they were on the side of people that come into our country illegally, break our laws, don't even abide by our laws. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.